Who is this melanated man, this king, this Khan, man, just chilling out, man? I mean, in his kingdom. This is out the Lost Tribes and Promised Lands. Lost Tribes and Promised Lands by Ronald Sanders. Get out the drop library. 432 to drop radio. Password is 1234 to get through the door. Let's get right to it in the prologue. This is on the Catalan map. The Catalan map. And they're already telling you, man, not that the religious component has vanquished from the Catalan map. Far from it, as we shall see. But not surprisingly, in the light of its author's Jewishness, there is a noticeable detachment in it concerning Christian tradition. So this Catalan map is giving up the rap that, you know what, this Christianity situation, when it comes to the Antichrist and the HaMashiac and all that, is completely 180. And let's get it from here, because we're talking the Catalan map. Here's a body bag. The Catalan map presents the essential imagery and lore of this tradition. The wall, Alexander the Great. We're talking the wall of Cathay, China, as well as Alexander himself, who they're calling Satan, Gog, and Magog. Who are they calling Satan? Who are they calling God? And who are they calling Magog? Let's go. Oh, they're identified as the Tartars. Oh, now we're in the Genghis Khan territory. Prester John, let's go. And Antichrist. So this melanated king we just saw is called by them an Antichrist. So who's their Christ? Who's their anointed? But there are peculiarities in the presentation. For one thing, the iconography is, as elsewhere on the map, rather free of explicitly Christian symbols. So we're not just talking about explicitly Christianity conversations, man. We're talking about a Naga conversation. For another, this is an odd serenity. So it's beautifully odd. What's beautifully serene, oddly serene, all right, with nothing of the terror normally to be found in the Christian versions of Apocalypse and Antichrist. So the beauty of it is that the Antichrist has nothing to do with terror. It's oddly serene that the Apocalypse has nothing of the terror normally to be found in Christian versions of the Apocalypse and Antichrist. So this Antichrist must be serene, right? Beautiful, because it's anti their anointing. The depiction of the Antichrist is especially startling. To who? Especially startling in what is the largest and most elaborate scene on the map. We see a benevolent medieval monarch, a good king, a good melanated brother with a three-pointed crown. The only king, by the way, who is standing on the whole map. What does that mean, my Naga? That you are the only ones left standing, holding out two branches of a golden fruit towards his followers. You're giving the people the fruit. Nobles, clergy, peasants, everybody's gathered around him in various postures of obeisance. They are surrounded by trees, flowers, and more of the golden fruit, all suggesting a dominion of abundance and tranquility. We're talking promised land. How can this man be anything but a savior? Well, we know Isaiah 53, only saviors are created, but we got a HaMashiac, a messenger, standing up, three-pointed crown, the only king standing. But there is nothing of the traditional imagery of Jesus about him. Drop the J. There's no J. Isus is Zeus. So they got us a new king. They got us a new hero in the New Test, right? And they reversed it. And they said that our anointed is the Antichrist and theirs is the real one. But it's really our anti-Mashiach. On the contrary, the inscription below the scene reads, check this out, this is the body bag. Here's what it reads about their Antichrist. If you want to know what's popping about the Antichrist, he will be reared at Chorazin in the Galilee. And when he is 30 years old, he will begin to preach in Jerusalem. And contrary to all truth, he will say that he is Jesus Christ, Son of the living God. Contrary to all truth. This is the story of their Antichrist. And now we read about it in the New Test, that he's, reared up in this Galilee situation. When he's 30 years old, begin to preach in Jerusalem. And contrary to all truth, he's Isus. And it is said that he's going to rebuild the temple. Contrary to all truth, the second mention of Jesus on the Catalan map then is a context that hardly seems Christian at all. The language is ambiguous. Only the words contrary to all truth suggest criticism of the Antichrist. So the only critic is coming in, inserting their conjecture of contrary to all truth, but even these lose much of their bite in the light of the Hebrew authorship. Perhaps as a conscious ruse or out of providential delusion, a man who is to rebuild the temple of Jerusalem will have to make assertions. They'll have to lie to you according to their story of their Christ, right? In Galilee, all right? They're going to have to do it contrary to all truth in order to proceed. But what pious, what righteous Jew of the 14th century would hold against him this means of achieving such an end? Now we're in the 14th century. So we ain't talking about their Isus. Now we're in the 14th century. After all, the Jewish point of view, even the claim for Jesus himself that he was the Son of the living God, was contrary to all truth. So what did it matter if the untruth were turned into a weapon, my naga, against his makers for the sake of Jewish redemption? And in any case, Jewish tradition allows for some violation of conventional morality in the time of the Mashiach, for it is clear that a Hebrew messenger that Crest has given us here is skillfully disguised. So he gave us a Hebrew messenger, and they're calling this Hebrew messenger Antichrist. Now check it for the dismount, but we consider another relevant tradition. Many Jews and some Christians as well believe that the people walled in by Alexander the Great were not Gog and Magog, but the 10 tribes of Israel. Some resolve this matter by considering the lost tribes and Gog and Magog to be one and the same. Again, with Magog, we're talking Magi, we're talking magic. The legend of the lost tribes goes back to the Hebrew antiquity. For the dismount, Prester John, Legend of Sources, love the top battle for this PDF in the drop library. Roger Bacon, 1267, is saying what? This principate extends from Ethelia to Black Cathay. Went to this called Kara Katai. Kara is the same as black. You're talking Black Cathay, my naga. Let's get it from here. And this land, along with the land adjacent to it, is the special land of the Emperor of the Tartars. He also